You are sitting in front of your computer at 2 a.m. 17 browser tabs are open. One tab is a course on graphic design. Another is a video about starting a podcast. A third is an article about careers in psychology. And somewhere in the mess, there's a job application you started 3 days ago but cannot bring yourself to finish. Because every time you try to describe yourself in one sentence, the words feel like a lie. You stare at the blinking cursor on the screen, and a familiar heaviness settles into your chest. It is not laziness. It is not confusion. It is something worse. It is the creeping suspicion that you were born broken, that everyone else received a map to their future and somehow yours got lost in the mail, that you will spend your entire life standing at a crossroads, paralyzed, while everyone else marches confidently toward their destination. I need you to stay with me, because what I am about to show you will explain every career mistake you have ever made, and more importantly, it will reveal the one mistake you are probably about to make again. Let me take you back to the first time you got it wrong. Maybe you were 18, maybe you were 22. Someone asked you the question that would shape your entire future. What do you want to be? And you panicked. Not because you had no answer, but because you had too many. You wanted to be a writer, and a psychologist, and maybe a filmmaker, and also something with music. And what about that business idea you had last summer? But you looked around and saw everyone else picking one thing, one major, one path, one identity. So you forced yourself to choose. You picked the one that seemed most practical, the one that would make your parents stop worrying, the one that sounded respectable when strangers asked what you were studying. And in that moment, you made the first of many wrong turns. Not because the path you chose was bad, but because of why you chose it. You chose from fear, not alignment. You chose to silence parts of yourself, not express them. You chose to fit into a box that was never built for a mind like yours. And here is what nobody told you. People with too many interests do not fail because they lack focus. They fail because they keep using the wrong compass. Let me explain what I mean. The traditional career path was designed for a specific type of brain, a brain that finds one thing interesting and stays interested forever, a brain that can specialize deeply without feeling like parts of itself are dying. Psychologists call this a specialist brain, and the entire career system, the job titles, the degree programs, the interview questions, all of it was built for them. But your brain does not work that way. Your brain is what researchers call an integrative brain. It does not want to go deep into one well. It wants to drink from many rivers. It finds connections between things that seem unrelated. It gets bored after reaching competence because it craves the thrill of learning something new. This is not a defect. This is a neurological difference that carries massive advantages in certain environments. But here's the problem. When you use a specialist compass to navigate an integrative brain, you will always end up lost. And that's exactly what keeps happening. Let me show you the 3 wrong careers that people like you choose over and over again. The first wrong career is the practical prison. This is the job you took because it was safe. The one that promised stability and a decent paycheck. The one that your parents approved of. You told yourself you could pursue your passions on the side. You told yourself that financial security would buy you freedom later. But later never came. Because the job did not just take your time. It took your energy. It took your creativity. It took the hours when your brain was sharpest and left you with the scraps. And now you sit in meetings pretending to care about quarterly reports while the 17 other versions of yourself bang against the walls of your chest, begging to be let out. This is the career chosen by fear. The second wrong career is the shiny object trap. This is the opposite mistake. Instead of choosing safety, you chased excitement. You jumped into whatever felt most alive at the moment. You started the photography business, then abandoned it for the coding boot camp, then left that for the wellness coaching certification. Each time, you were certain this was the one. Each time, the passion faded after 6 months. And now you look at your resume and see a graveyard of abandoned identities. You wonder if you are fundamentally incapable of commitment. You wonder if there is something wrong with your character. But here's the truth. There is nothing wrong with your character. You were not chasing the wrong things. You were chasing the right things in the wrong way. More on that in a moment. The third wrong career is the partial expression. This one is the sneakiest. It looks like success from the outside. You found a career that uses one of your interests. Maybe you became a designer, or a marketer, or a therapist, and you are good at it. People respect you. The money is decent. But something is slowly dying inside you, because you are only using 20% of who you are. The other 80%, the writer, the entrepreneur, the philosopher, the musician, is locked in a basement, starving. You tell yourself to be grateful. You tell yourself that most people do not even get this much. But gratitude cannot silence the voice that whispers at 3 a.m. Is this really it? Is this all I get to become? That voice is not ungrateful. That voice is your unlived lives demanding to be acknowledged. Now, let me tell you why you keep making these same mistakes. It comes down to one psychological error that nobody talks about. You have been choosing careers based on content instead of structure. Let me explain. Content is the what. What industry, what job title, what specific skill. Structure is the how. How you spend your days, how much variety you experience, how many different parts of yourself get expressed. People with too many interests obsess over content. They ask themselves, what field should I enter? They make lists of pros and cons for different industries. They take career quizzes that try to match them with a job title. But the job title is not the problem. The structure is the problem. You could find the perfect industry, the one that matches your biggest interest, and still be miserable if the structure forces you into repetitive, narrow work. And you could find an unexpected industry, one you never considered, and be completely fulfilled if the structure lets you explore, create, and integrate. This is the shift that changes everything. Stop asking, what career should I choose? Start asking, what structure does my brain need to thrive? Here is what research tells us about the structure that integrative brains need. First, you need variety within your work, not just in your hobbies. Your brain is wired to make connections across domains. If your job only lets you use one skill, you are cutting off the blood supply to the rest of your mind. You need a career that lets you wear multiple hats, that lets you move between creating and analyzing, between working alone and collaborating, between learning and teaching. Second, you need permission to evolve. Specialist brains find comfort in mastery. Integrative brains find comfort in growth. You need a career with an open ceiling, one where next year can look completely different than this year, one where your curiosity is an asset, not a liability. Third, you need to create intersections, not choose lanes. The most successful multipotentialities in history did not pick one thing. They combined multiple things in ways nobody had seen before. Steve Jobs combined calligraphy, technology, and philosophy. Leonardo da Vinci combined art, engineering, anatomy, and architecture. These were not scattered people who could not focus. These were integrators who refused to amputate parts of themselves to fit into existing boxes. Your job is not to find the right box. Your job is to build something new at the intersection of everything you are. This means you might need to create a career that does not exist yet. This means you might need to combine skills in ways that confuse people at first. This means you might need to stop looking for permission and start giving it to yourself. I know this is terrifying. I know it feels safer to just pick something and commit. I know the world keeps telling you that focus is the answer and more interests are the problem. But think about where that advice has gotten you so far. More abandoned paths, more quiet desperation, more 2 a.m. sessions wondering what is wrong with you. Maybe the advice was never meant for a brain like yours. Maybe you have been asking the wrong question all along. The question is not how do I narrow down? The question is how do I design a life that actually has room for all of me? Here is your new compass. Instead of choosing a career, design a portfolio. A portfolio career means you do not put all your identity into one job title. You build multiple pillars that each express different parts of you. Maybe one pillar pays the bills. Maybe another pillar feeds your creativity. Maybe a third pillar lets you help others. They do not all need to be equal. They do not all need to make money, but they all need to exist. Because a multipotentialite with only one outlet is like a river with only one channel. Eventually, the pressure builds and something floods. Your multiple interests are not the enemy. They are the blueprint. They are showing you exactly who you are meant to become. Not a specialist who chose one thing, but an integrator who wove many things into something only you could create. So, if you are sitting there tonight with too many tabs open and too many paths calling your name, I need you to hear this. You are not broken. You are not unfocused. You are not behind. You are a different kind of mind living in a system built for different kinds of people. And the moment you stop forcing yourself into their boxes, everything changes. Your scattered past becomes a diverse foundation. Your abandoned projects become research and development. Your endless curiosity becomes your greatest competitive advantage. You just have to stop apologizing for who you are and start designing a life that actually fits. The world has enough specialists. What it needs now is someone who can see how everything connects. Someone who can move between worlds and speak multiple languages. Someone who can solve problems that specialists cannot even perceive. That someone is you. You were never meant to choose. You were meant to integrate. And now that you know that, go build something that finally makes room for everything you are. I will see you in the next one.